All right. So, what's poppin', ladies and gentlemen? We're a safe space here. We don't discriminate, ladies and gentlemen. So, big ups all the supporters, yeah, before we get into the video. Also, it's really weird to hear yourself back, like while you're recording. It's driving me nuts. But yeah, you got to monitor the audio, I suppose. That's what the top podcasters do, like Joe Rogan, etc., 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 etc. Obviously now I'm big time now. Got a couple K subs. You know, the fame's getting to my head. People coming up to me in the streets, stopping me, be like, "Yo, you're that guy on YouTube breaking down fights." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Sign some autographs. But anyways, jokes aside, before I get into the breakdowns, I like to do a section every week, maybe where I drop some knowledge about betting, gambling, etc. Help you guys in this game because it's a very very difficult game. Not many people really do well long term, even though it might seem like everyone's crushing it, making loads of money. People do come and go in the space. You know, I've lost a lot of fallen soldiers. You know, people used to talk to every day, but eventually the game gets to them. You know, maybe they can't handle it mentally. Maybe they lose, you know, a couple of units, 10 units, 20 units, and psychologically affects them. So I feel like in this game, you got to keep mentally sharp, keep mentally ready. You know, go to the gym, do some exercise, lift weights, do some cardio. Helps clear your mind, helps you make better decisions. You know, helps you stay mentally strong. Plus, it's just good for life, right? So yeah, before you make a bet, maybe go for a run, get that runner's high, and see if you're making a good decision. So yeah, patreon.com/MMA Lewis. Get access to my best, get access to my written breakdowns. Obviously, I have to shout it out. Also, let's try and hit a like target of like 100 likes because next week's pay-per-view, I'm not really one to complain about like cards because it's to me it's just all money, but I'm gonna have to get motivated to break down that card. Otherwise, I might just have to do like the full card or something. Because that's a brutal card. I'm not gonna lie. UFC trying to make people pay $100 or whatever the crazy amounts of money that you poor Americans have to pay. Yeah, it's not looking good, brev. So, yeah, let's get into the first fight. Pogues versus Hamdi Abdullah Wab. Hopefully not butchering that. So yeah, this is probably like a lower tier heavyweight fight. You got Hamdi coming off a 2-year layoff, you know, coming off a suspension of steroids. So straight away, massive red flag. Might be coming in with ring rust, coming off steroids. He's only got three MMA fights as well. It says 5-0 record here, but he's taken a couple like bare knuckle fights, etc., etc., etc. His last fight against Dontel Mays. Honestly, I was kind of impressed with what I saw. Well, for the first round, anyways. You know, he had like good boxing. He had like this kind of Greco wrestling, Roman type of wrestling, Olympic style wrestling. Got some nice takedowns as well. So from what I saw from the limited time, one fight, you know, I was like, yeah, decent, but definitely slowed down after 4 minutes. So yeah, adrenaline dumped, red flag there. And even though there might be like a solid fight there, there's just too many kind of question marks there for me. You know, layoff, steroids, gas tank concerns, lack of MMA experience. Got Pogues on the other hand, boxing style of heavyweight, little plodding. Now this fight here, bro, like I don't know why some of you guys want to bet this one. If I'm being honest, like if you can get Hamdi at like 2.7 plus 170, like I could see why you maybe could justify a risk, but I feel 50-50 fights seems decently lined. It's a low level heavyweight fight. Like, do you want to be putting racks on this one? Unless you got like a super duper concrete read. I'm all right, man. I'm more than happy to pass on this one from a betting perspective. Pure pick. Still kind of 50-50 on it still. Obviously the layoff, etc. But I feel like Hamdi's probably the more kind of like talented fighter, more upside. There might be like something there with Hamdi. I guess 50-50, flip a coin as a pick. I'll go with Hamdi, but I might change my pick really, but I don't really want to be betting this one. But there should be some better fights coming up. All right. Next fight here, we got Lucas Alexander versus Bogdan Grad. This fight here, Lucas, he's coming off a 1 year layoff. You know, he got KO'd by a very low level fighter. Let's be real. Is it Jarigi? Can't remember the name. I might be mixing it up with the Mexican women's MMA fighter, but that was a bad one, bruv. That's a bad knockout. You know, it's good that he took a year off. And he was like a 1.20 favorite, so it's not a good look, bruv. He's a striker. He likes to use his range, counter strike, control the distance, use footwork, avoid 50-50 exchanges. Kind of reminds you of like a prime Izzy, where he would like jab, low kick. Obviously, nowhere near the level, but yeah. I don't think he's like an elite striker, but I think he's a above average striker. Pretty clean, pretty sharp, good striking fundamentals. I mean, I think his defensive grappling's been improving, but definitely not bulletproof. You know, it definitely doesn't feel comfortable in this area. Definitely doesn't feel, you know, fully developed in this realm of MMA. You got Bogdan on the other hand, looks at hustle his opponents, use a pace, you know, outwork his opponents. His striking's definitely not as refined as Alexander, but he just goes for it. He's relentless. Same goes for his wrestling and grappling. Just pushes the pace. Really, really kind of goes for it. You know, Lucas, he's going to want to counter strike, negate the pressure from Bogdan, not let him close the distance. If he does that, then he's probably got a very, very good chance of winning. You know, Bogdan gets stuck at range, he's definitely going to lose. Lucas is kind of more refined. If anyone pushes the pace, pushes the grappling, I imagine it's going to come from Bogdan. So, I mean, it's hard to be mega confident, but I'll go with Lucas. I just feel like he's the more kind of technically refined fighter, especially when it comes to the striking part of the game. Betting line, money's been coming in on Lucas. I mean, if you got that plus 170, 2.7, plus 140, I think you made a decent bet. I kind of wish I looked into it a bit earlier. If I could get that plus 140, 2.7, I probably would have risked it. You know, hard to be mega confident, so I kind of agree with the line being fairly tight. But give me Lucas. All right, we got Jasmine Jasdavidius versus Mara Bueno Silva. So, kind of good fight for women's MMA standards, I think. So you got Jasmine. She's not really technical anywhere. She's not like a specialist striker, not a specialist grappler, but she loves a fight. She loves a war. I've heard people say when she's walking around the UFC, and she's like loving the fight. Like she loves a war. She's kind of always ready for it. So yeah, bloods and guts style of fighter. You know, looks to overwhelm opponents. Pace, pressure, extremely tough. Mara Buena Silva, just call her MBS Silva. I'll go with MBS, it sounds cooler. So MBS, no, she's a pretty dangerous fighter. She has a tight, kind of powerful Muay Thai game. She's pretty nasty in a clinch, able to land elbows, knees. She could be pretty threatening with submission attempts. You know, got a couple of chokes, etc. But what kind of worries me about Buena Silva is recently I've been really kind of been skeptical of her cardio. Like she gassed out badly against Pennington in the title fight. Maybe I kind of let her off there a bit. You know, adrenaline dump. You know, big title fight. You know, you can get nervous. But then against Chiasson, she had a really kind of strong 4 minutes, but she really kind of faded there. So yeah, back-to-back fights where her cardio's looked suspect. But you know, I think her striking's decent. I think clinch is decent. So there's a good fighter there. I mean, I have to kind of lean towards Jasmine, but I don't say it with a overwhelming amount of confidence, just because I do think Bueno Silva is a good fighter. She's dangerous, but Jasmine's kind of able to push a pace, overcome that storm. Probably kind of wears on Bueno Silva, probably takes over round 2, round 3. So it might be better one for like betting wise. Jasmine's like 1.43. Like, I'm not too interested in betting Jasmine at 1.43. Like, if I'm being honest, I'm not really seeing a big enough kind of skilled the crap. Correct. I can't even, whatever the word is. I'm not really seeing a big enough like skill gap on Jasmine. With Bueno Silva, she could definitely have a good round 1. She's pretty dangerous. So I think this is one probably bets target from a live betting perspective. All right, we got Terence McKinney versus Damir Hadzovic. This fight here, I mean, McKinney, he's not like a bad fighter. He's got good wrestling. He's pretty powerful in round 1, but this guy is like a round 1 or bust type of fighter. I hate talk about fighters like this because McKinney would probably take me down, choke me outright, but in a fight. But this guy's a quitter, bruv. If things don't go his way, he'll just fade. Talking of fading, his gas tank, his cardio, always been suspect. Round 1, that's his best round, but usually if you can take this guy into round 2, round 3, he mentally collapses, and so does his cardio, right? But UFC probably doing McKinney a favour here. He's had a couple losses, and he seems to do well when they give him like a step down on competition. McKinney, he's got a bit of a fan base, a bit of a name. You've got Hadzovic coming off a 2-year layoff. He's 38, he's very good, very stiff. He's getting up there in age. So McKinney probably has some grappling upside, wrestling upside. I think he'll probably dominate, especially in round 1. And he could definitely probably has a good chance of finishing the fight in round 1, whether it's striking, grappling, wrestling. But you kind of have to be wary about the fact that even though it might be hard for Hadzovic to make McKinney work, just because McKinney's much more athletic, much younger, he's probably the better fighter. McKinney's the type of guy to just wilt and quit in there. So Hadzovic, he's going to have to make McKinney work, defend the takedown, maybe overcome that storm. But yeah, obviously McKinney's going to be the pick. I mean, go to price tag. He's like 1.2. Now, I agree with McKinney being a solid size favourite. You've got to have him as a favourite. But McKinney's the type of guy to just wilt, quit in there, really kind of let you down. So you got to kind of be careful, but at the same time, you can't be having McKinney at like, 1.4, 1.5, that kind of range as a bookmaker, because you're going to get destroyed. Maybe look to target like McKinney round 1, something like that. But I don't think the prices would be that good. But yeah, if I was going to target Hadzovic, I'd rather just wait for a live betting perspective. But to me, the line's accurate. We got Gaziev versus Thomas Peterson. So Gaziev, I mean, I get a vibe he's a good hammer, bad nail type of fighter. I think offensively he's pretty good. I think it's pretty kind of clean, nasty boxing for like a mid-level heavyweight. Same goes for his offensive wrestling. I do think he has cardio issues though. I think he definitely slows down after like a round or 2, so gives me hesitation there, especially when it comes to betting him, especially at heavy kind of chalk prices. Peterson, wrestler, he won't really kind of commit to his takedowns or notice, but he'll like push his opponents up against the clinch, against the fence, try to put like a kind of pace on his opponents, give him like a different kind of tempo, different look, throw them off. I think when he does commit to his takedowns though, like he's all right, he's decent. I think he makes his game work. This fight here though, I mean, Gaziev's definitely probably the most better likely, the better striker, better athlete, more clean, more dangerous, more kind of big moment outsides. He's probably going to have the more kind of eye-catching strikes, especially for the judges. So I'm going to have to lean towards Gaziev. But what worries about me about Gaziev is that Peterson, he can push his opponents up against the clinch. Gaziev, he's a bit of a quitter. I have a feeling that if Peterson's able to really, really commit to some takedowns, get Gaziev down, he could look like a fish off his back. I mean, betting wise, I agree with Gaziev being a favourite, but Gaziev's not really the type of guy I want to be betting at 1.30, to be honest. I'd probably say there's more value on the dog. I'd rather bet the underdog here, take a gamble on the underdog, than bet Gaziev at 1.3, if I'm being for real. I'm not really convinced with Gaziev. Don't know if I really trust him at this level, especially don't trust him at this type of price tag. Peterson could give him an uncomfortable fight, but gun to my head, I'll go with Gaziev. We got Naimov versus Offley. Hope you're not butchering that one. Naimov, explosive, powerful, compact, southpaw striker. Definitely becomes less explosive as the fight goes on, but makes sense, really. He really kind of commits to all his strikes, really tries to be as powerful and as explosive as possible. I say he's like a solid mid-level featherweight fighters. I think they're featherweight, right? I think Naimov fought back up 155 against Lima. Obviously, Lima's a beast, but he was doing quite well. I think I can't remember exactly, but he might have been up like 2 rounds. But yeah, Felipe Lima, that's a tough fight for anyone. Offley, obviously, he's a fighter who likes to kind of really, really push a pace, look to overwhelm his opponents. Mix up wrestling, mix up grappling, boxing combinations. I am a little concerned he got knocked out 4 months ago. It was a pretty bad knockout. Offley, imagine going to come forwards, push a pace, overwhelm Naimov, potentially break him. If he's relentless, he might frustrate Naimov, test that cardio. Now, I'm going to lean towards Naimov here, just because he's more kind of UFC proven. And I think he has the big moment upside, but Overly might be able to give him like an uncomfortable fight if he's able to push the pace, push Naimov against clinch, test that cardio, right? So yeah, Naimov, I think he's a pretty decent sized favourite, right? 1.34. Yeah, the line seems kind of fair. I think if I was going to target Overly, I'd rather target him from a live betting perspective, but I don't think Overly is as bad as everyone's making him out to be. Plus, he's a little bit of an unknown. We don't really know too much about him. He could come in looking amazing. He could frustrate Naimov. So, steep line. But obviously, if you're setting the line, you kind of have to have Naimov as the favourite. This is the best fight in the card, bro. We've got Davis versus Ziam. Bro, this is a banger of a fight. This is high level stuff. Oof. Where do we start with this one? So we got, both these fighters are in their prime. And, this is a fight that I'm not too keen on betting against either fighter. I love both guys, right? So Davis, he won the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts back in I can't remember what year it was, but he won the tryouts. That's like a big deal, right? Because you get free training, free food, free accommodation. You get a scholarship over at Tiger Muay Thai, and he was the best out of the group. And you can see why this guy's a really, really good athlete, very, very kind of well-rounded fighter, very athletically gifted. He's got very strong kickboxing fundamentals, very, very crisp technique. He'll often use his head movement as a form of defense. And, he's very athletically gifted. He'll grit down, he'll bite down on his mouth guard and he'll grind out wins. Competent wrestler, competent grappler. Just when I put it all together, bruv, I really, really like what I see from Mike Davis. The one thing I don't really like about his game, though, is I do think he does half and puff after a round. It makes sense. Look at how chiseled he is. He carries a lot of muscle. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why he does kind of slow down. And you can see he starts to breathe heavy. But as mentioned, he'll grit down on his mouth guard and he'll grind out wins, grind out decisions, and he'll fight through it. But you do see visibly that he does huff and puff. The body language doesn't look perfect, right? Ziam, another guy I really like. Ziam, he's like a K1 kickboxer. You know, he's got this kind of tall, rangy, skinny frame for lightweight. And, you know, I think his kickboxing's clean, it's technical, it's sharp. Yeah, I definitely think he's been making improvements fight to fight to fight. Every time we see him, I think he's getting better and better. Excuse me, need a cough. And when it comes to wrestling and grappling, I do think he can get controlled. I think really, really strong wrestlers are going to do quite well against him. But I do think he has been improving in this area, and I do think he's been getting better. But he can give out kind of dominant positions on the ground. So, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this, but one thing I don't like about Davis, apart from the cardio, is he only takes fights like once a year. He's very, very inactive, and he picks up a lot of injuries as well, I've noticed. Like, I followed him on Instagram, and I've heard him say in interviews that he gets injuries, he fights through injuries. So that's something that kind of gives me concern. You know, Xian's more active. He's fighting more frequently. I think Davis is probably going to have, I say have as a definite, it's probably a bit extreme, but I think it's more likely that he's going to have a stronger round one and do much better in round one, and more likely going to win round one. While Ziam, I imagine, you know, he's probably going to have to maybe struggle in round one. Davis might take him down, control him, land the bigger shots, etc. I think Zian's best chance is to take it into round two, round three, test Davis's cardio, kind of fight a range, utilize his size, reach, and just kind of pick Davis apart. I'm gonna have to lean towards Davis here, but this is a high level fight. You know, two really, really good fighters, and if anyone has kind of grappling and wrestling upside, I think it's Davis. And I think Davis can kind of keep it kind of close enough on the feet with the striking. So let's look at the line. I agree with his line being fairly tight. I mean, I know a lot of you guys probably bet Ziam at around 3.2, 3.0 in that kind of range. And, you know, I can't fault you for that. You know, I might have risked it myself at that kind of range, that kind of price. I don't think it's a bad bet at all. But I kind of have to lean towards Davis being the slight betting favourite. But yeah, really, really good fight. Two higher level fighters. And there's not one where I'm rushing out to fade Ziam or I'm rushing out to bet against Mike Davis. Like, these are fighters that I ideally want to be betting on, not trying to bet against. Another sick fight here. We got Said Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira. So Said, he's mainly a kind of striker. He's not really like a grappler. He's got a kicks-based style of striking, very crisp, quick, technical. He can wrestle and grapple as well. He's more kind of a opportunistic wrestler and grappler, and you know, he's an opportunistic submission guy as well. You know, he can catch his opponents in nasty chokes. He definitely prefers to strike more than grapple, and I think this is mainly because his cardio is not the best, man. He definitely kind of slows down after a round, and I think the striking helps him kind of conserve his energy more. Lockdog, you know, I like Lockdog. I think he's a talented up-and-coming fighter at 135, able to switch stances, you know, uses range well, you know, uses head movement. Very, very confident fighter as well. You know, he's not afraid to showboat. And I think he's just been getting better and better each time round. I think he's been getting improvements. I think he's getting better. He's fairly young. He's got a good record, 21-3. So yeah, I like what I see from Lockdog. Great fight. I think it's a fairly well matched fight. I'm gonna slightly lean towards Saeed, because I just think he is the kind of more technically refined fighter. I would definitely be more confident in Saeed if he had a better gas tank and cardio. If his cardio was on point, I could pick him with more confidence. So I don't actually think Lockdog's a bad underdog, but I don't think Lockdog's cardio is world-class elite either. But this fight could just come down to who's able to dig deeper, who's able to kind of push through that fatigue barrier. But yeah, low confidence on Saeed. Not really looking to kind of bet on him at this kind of price tag. What's the price? 1.66. I mean, like I said, like if I trusted his cardio more, I could get behind that. So I don't actually think Lockdog's a bad underdog at all. I think this could be a very kind of close fight. Comes under slim margins. I kind of lean towards Saeed because I do think he's the more refined fighter technically. But yeah, great fight. I think if you're getting Lockdog, I can see why you risk it, man. Like, I was kind of tempting myself, but I'm going to go with Saeed. We've got Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Pav, I mean, I was a little surprised to see Pav at 1.33 minus 300 because I feel like this guy's kind of lost all his hype. You know, at one point, you know, everyone's kind of talking this guy up. Next big thing, a heavyweight. But he's had 2 losses. Obviously, it's not bad losses, losing against Volkov and Tom Aspinall. Heavy-handed, power boxing heavyweight, right? Very boxing heavy with his approach. I think he is dangerous. I think he does have strong boxing fundamentals. And we saw him go 3 rounds against Volkov. Obviously, he got scored, but, you know, when he's been smoking dudes in round 1, we haven't really seen his cardio get tested. But yeah, Rosen, he's a counter striker of a heavyweight. He's a striker. You know, he can maybe be a little bit passive at times. You know, that's the one thing I've not really loved about Rozenstruik over the years. I've always been like, yeah, if this guy really kind of put the gas to the pedal, I think he could be really good. But, you know, I like Rozenstruik, man. You know, this is a guy I think legitimately is good. I like his striking fundamentals. I like his kickboxing fundamentals. I think he has good power on his feet. Sorry, in his hands. And I think he's got like a kickboxing record of 84-6 or something really solid. Obviously, his kickboxing records can be deceiving. There's a lot of can crushing going on in kickboxing, but yeah. Ground game's a joke though. Extremely weak ground game. So, I mean, Pavlovich 1.30. I was almost kind of close to picking Rozenstruik. That's who I kind of initially leaned towards, but as the week kind of went on, leaning towards Pavlovich, but I wouldn't be paying 1.30 on this. That to me, I think the value's on Rozenstruik, to be honest. I really do. Because this is not like Pavlovich facing some bum low-level heavyweight. You got Rozenstruik, who's a legitimate kind of solid fighter. You know, both fighters are dangerous. Both fighters could get a knockout. But I think if I was going to target Rozenstruik, it might be safer to kind of lie bet it, see how he kind of overcomes that storm from Pavlovich. But, you know, I wouldn't be chucking Pavlovich into my parlays at 1.30. I'd rather bet underdog at 3.75. So we go, got the best fight in the card. We got Shara Magomedov versus Michael Page. Also, if you're liking the video, make sure to like, share, comment. Also, check out patreon.com/MMA Lewis. Super duper appreciate all the subs. And yeah, let's get into it. So I wish I kind of saved my energy to go really hard for this one, but this is an intriguing fight. I think there's strong opinions on kind of both sides of the spectrum. I think Shara had some growing pains in the UFC, and there were some performances where people were kind of like a bit low on him. They had really kind of high expectations for him, and he didn't fully deliver. But I feel like he's starting to really kind of grow and develop and settle into the UFC. The UFC brass clearly likes this guy. I think he's the A side in a lot of these matchups because he's a really, really kind of entertaining striker. He brings attention to the sport, and he's one of their go-to guys when it comes to these Middle East cards. Mainly got like a kick-based style of striking, high-level kicks, wide range of kicking techniques, extremely sharp, fast, technical with his kicks. I think his weak point in the striking is probably the boxing, but overall, when I put it all together, I see a high-level kind of kicks-based style of striker. I think he's getting better. I think he's got the backing of Dana White, Hunter Campbell, the UFC brass. He's got a big fan base. He's got a unique, entertaining style. And because of that, the UFC matches him up correctly. They're not looking to give him loads of grapplers because his ground game's a joke, bruv. I'm going to be real with you guys. His takedown defense, ground game, complete joke. But his striking's probably one of the best inside the division. And he's so entertaining. He's got a unique story. This is the type of guy that the UFC likes to get behind. And, he's getting matched up with all strikers, says it really. MVP, on the other hand, another good striker as well. Solid fighter. He's got like a unique fighting style. He has a wide stance, karate stance. You'll find the outside, and then he blitzes, and he does a really, really good job of closing the distance. He's very, very fast, explosive. Similar to Shara, though, ground game's a joke. So I highly, highly doubt we'll see grappling in this one. I'll be shocked. And I'll be shocked if any of them have like strong grappling success. So interesting X factor with MVP here is that he's been a career 170er. He's moving up to 185 for this fight. He's also kind of 37, 38. And the UFC's not going to book Shara up with someone who they think is going to probably like dominate them, to be honest. They've been matching up Shara nicely, as I keep mentioning. This is a striker, right? Shara, that's what he wants. He wants striking fights. And I suppose you could say the same thing about MVP. He wants striking fights as well, right? So Shara is definitely the natural 185er. He's bigger, more muscular. He's got the correct frame for 185. I think MVP is going to have like a couple inches of reach over Shara. Yeah, 73 versus 79. MVP, he's going to be I think he's probably going to be looking to counter-strike. Well, I think Shara's going to be the one kind of looking to kind of set the pace. And MVP will look to kind of explode, come in, blitz, find the openings. While Shara, you're probably going to be leg kicking, trying to push the pace, trying to find, maybe like try and force openings on the feet. Now, I'm going to lean towards Shara here because he's going to be a lot younger than MVP. I know MVP's had a lot of good performances recently, but this fight's at 185, not 170. UFC likes Shara. I think Shara's been given this fight for a reason. I don't think it's an easy fight at all. I think it's going to be a close fight. I'll be shocked if one guy just completely dominates. I think Shara has really, really kind of strong striking fundamentals. I think his striking fundamentals is really, really strong. I think he's got really, really good, clean technique, explosive, good athlete. I think he's starting to kind of hit top form, hit momentum. He had a couple tough fights where he didn't look the best, but now I think he's starting to hit top form. I think if anyone declines, it's probably going to be MVP, but yeah, I'm going to go with Shara here. Betting wise, I think this is going to be a very kind of popular fight from a betting perspective. I think there's just going to be strong opinions on both sides of the spectrum. And yeah, this is going to be one of those like controversial fights where people are going to be betting MVP confidently, and there's going to be people betting Shara confidently. But personally, I'm going to lean towards Shara. Right, main event. Make sure to share, like, comment. Obviously, got to say that stuff again. Try and get to 100 likes, just because UFC 302 is a brutal card. So yeah, I need to get motivated to do a breakdown video on that one. So not really a lot of hype on this one, actually. You know, normally Izzy fights did bring a lot of attention, but not a lot of kind of media attention at all. Quite surprising. I think people are quite low on Izzy because it does feel like he is declining. You know, I think he's still a very, very good fighter, but the last couple of performances he's had, you know, I think he's slowing down a bit. I think obviously he's one of the all-time greats at middleweight, and it's hard to kind of fade him, go against him, and really kind of confidently bet and pick against him, because he's got a really, really good skill set, kickboxing, very, very athletically gifted, former champion, got a wealth of experience in the fight game, perfect frame for 180. And you got Imavov on the other hand. And now Imavov is a guy that I've been keeping an eye out throughout the years. Imavov is a guy that I really quite like as well as a fighter. I think he's been making developments fight to fight. I think he's starting to really kind of settle and kind of hit top form. And each time I see him fight, I think he's just getting better and better, more refined, more solid. And I've just overall been very, very kind of impressed with the developments and improvements that Imavov's been making. I think his boxing fundamentals is getting really strong. I think he's got very, very clean boxing. I think he's good in the clinch. I think he has some wrestling, grappling upside. I don't think he's like a world-class elite wrestler and grappler, but he's got that in his back pocket. He's taken down Curtis. And yeah. And I think he's been very, very active. You know, he's been taking a couple fights a year. And I think he has a lot more to kind of give to the fight game. I think Izzy's on the tail end. He's 35, long career, a lot of tough fights, a lot of brutal training camps over at City Kickboxing. I think Imavov, you know, he's getting training at places like what's that gym? That gym's name's skipping my mind because they keep changing the name. But one with Henry Hoof, he gets in work there. He gets work with guys in Paris. I think UFC kind of wants to push this guy as the next big thing. I think also with Imavov, like before, I kind of had concerns with his cardio, definitely. I think he was a guy who I think one of the reasons why he had bad cardio is because he used too much footwork. Like his footwork's excellent, but there's no need to be super, super bouncy all of the time. But now he's a lot more kind of controlled and measured with his footwork. And yeah, just really, really like Imavov. Izzy, guy I've backed throughout years, bet on throughout years, but I think momentum-wise, I'm going to have to go with Imavov here. Obviously, I don't want this to be a cop-out, but picking against Izzy is not an easy thing to do. It's just not, but the fight game, man, I feel like this might be one of those situations where the young eats the old. And I think I'll have more regrets if I pick Izzy here and Imavov wins and dominates, then I would picking against Izzy. Sorry, picking on Izzy, and he puts up a vintage performance, which could happen. He could jab, leg kick, kind of dance around the cage, make it look fairly easy. But I do think he's declining. I think, he's dropped a lot of rounds recently. I don't think he kind of has that like dog in him as much anymore. Like against Strickland, he looked defeated in there. I know it's easy for me to say the stuff, but he's a multi-millionaire. He didn't really have that dog against him, against DDP. No pun intended. And he's starting to kind of wilt. He's made a lot of money in his career, right? Imavov's still going to be hungry. But yeah, I'll go with Imavov overall though. Betting wise, I think there's more kind of, I'd rather risk a bet on the underdog than the favourite. Let's just put it that way. But it's a riskier fight because you're going against one of the all-time greats in Adesanya, but I think Imavov might just be catching Izzy at the right time. All right, cool. I think I've mentioned everything I wanted about that fight. It's gonna probably drive me nuts because I'll be later on. I'll be at the gym or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, I should have mentioned this. I should have mentioned that. So yeah, make sure to like, share, comment, sub, all that good stuff. Super duper appreciate everyone tuning in, and yeah, take care.